Welcome to Learning to Teach, Chapter 1. If you take a look at the young man there at the chalkboard, what's he doing? It looks like he just perhaps drew a picture of his favorite teacher. What would the drawing of your favorite teacher look like? What memories do you have of that teacher? Chapter 1 is going to be about teaching and learning. We will touch on characteristics that define effective teachers. Perhaps the teachers you had in your mind's eye possess some of the characteristics we will describe as we move further into Chapter 1. Slide 2 is the Young Harris College Mission Statement, which is to Young Harris College educates, inspires, empowers students through a comprehensive liberal arts experience that integrates mind, body, and spirit. 3 key words in that statement are educate, inspire, and empower. An easy way to remember this is to point to your brain, which is educate, then touch your heart, which is inspire. Finally, open your arms if you are going to embrace someone. That's empower. Now you might want to go ahead and try that on your own. Make sure no one is watching. Slide 3 is the thinking or reflecting monkey. And I'd like you to reflect on the YHC mission statement. How do teachers educate, inspire, empower students to do their best? Did your favorite teacher educate, inspire, and empower you? Slide 4, let's watch a clip of Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society. Do you think his teaching is effective? Watch the clip and answer the question that you see on the slide. Your post should be about a paragraph in length. Include 3 to 4 ideas. And you'll post that on Moodle, your response on Moodle, Forum 1 as Response 1. Slide 5 are the key themes related to Chapter 1. These are the topics that we'll be covering in this chapter. Why is it important to give you an idea of what we'll be covering in this chapter? Some students are what we would call part-to-whole individuals. They like to see the little pieces and put the pieces together into the whole. And some are whole to part. They like to see the big picture, and then that helps them recognize the individual parts. How many of you like to see the big picture before you begin something? Is it helpful to see the top of a jigsaw puzzle before you do the puzzle? In defining good teaching, we will explore what good teaching is, and we'll look at research conducted by Robert Marzano related to effective teaching. In the search for effective teaching, there have been 3 waves of research that have helped us define good teaching. This research has contributed to how we view teaching today. As you look around the circle, if we go down to around 4 o'clock, in views of teaching and learning, we will learn about behaviorists and cognitivists. If you are a behaviorist, you're going to have one view of teaching and learning. If you are a cognitivist or a constructivist, you'll have another view. We will learn about both of those, and you may come to know which view you support. Text themes, which is around 7 o'clock, illustrates the fact that standards come in all forms and sizes. Accountability, diversity, and technology are other topics that will be covered in text themes. In learning to teach, we are going to learn about teaching as a knowledge base. What type of knowledge does a teacher need to have? This graphic hopefully provided you with an overview of what we'll be covering in Chapter 1. Now in Slide 6, we'll start with defining good teaching. That's our first topic. And you're going to be asked to define good teaching and then be introduced to the components related to learning to teach. It will be important for you to know each of these components, including elements of the teach and learn cycle, or the pedagogical cycle, as we call it. Teaching strategies will be introduced to you, and these strategies will be helpful as you begin to think about your education philosophy paper. Slide 7, entitled Defining Good Teaching. The first part of our chapter deals with defining good teaching. In your mind's eye, capture the most effective teacher you've had. And in a paragraph, share 2 or 3 qualities that made your teacher effective and post. Is there a difference between effective and favorite? Post your paragraph on Moodle Forum 1 as response 2. Slide 8, post your response to Moodle Forum 1 as response 3. After you've posted your response, go to the next slide and see if your response correlated to the questions on the next slide. In other words, the question on this slide, slide 8, is what is good teaching? So on Moodle Forum 1 as response 3, just post a paragraph as to what you think good teaching is. And when you're finished, then go to slide 8 and see if your response supports these 3 questions. These 3 questions are on slide 9, which we are on right now. When you define good teaching, what are the key questions? Well, look at your paragraph, and did your definition of good teaching, did it apply to teachers at all other levels, or was it just a particular level you were thinking about? Does your definition apply to all types of learners, advanced or learners that might have special needs? Does your definition of good teaching apply to teachers who teach other subjects? And does your definition apply to just certain times of the year, or could your definition apply to all times of the year? Note that this is a Pants on Fire. This has a Pants on Fire icon, so these questions will be important. You'll need to know them for your Chapter 1 test. Let's go to slide 10, defining good teaching. This is a clip, and as you watch the clip, ask yourself whether this individual knows his subject matter. Does knowing your subject matter ensure effective teaching? After you watch the clip, respond whether or not what you saw depicted effective teaching. Why or why not? Post this on Moodle 1 or Forum 1 as response 4. Slide 11, components of learning to teach, is a very important slide. This is a graphic or a model that's in your text in Chapter 1. It's on page 19. It illustrates the components of learning to teach, and we will examine each of the components of this model in detail, beginning with knowledge of subject matter, which is on the bottom row of the model. As we go through each component, it will be helpful if you refer to this model. So the first component that we look at is the knowledge of subject matter. When talking about knowledge, it's important to keep in mind that you can't teach what you do not know. It's important to know your subject matter, no matter the grade level. Knowing your subject matter provides confidence in the lesson presentation, and knowledge of subject matter often helps a teacher to be more willing to ask questions of students. Often these questions can be high order in nature, and these are usually how or why types of questions, which can help stimulate thought among students. Without a firm knowledge of subject matter, it's often difficult to ask questions relative to the content with which you are comfortable. And without being knowledgeable and comfortable with the content, it's hard to ask questions that engage students.